Hey there and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a full face of ColourPop and a review of the new Pretty Fresh Hydrating Foundation. I'll be showing you how the foundation applies, and at the end of the video I will give you my final thoughts. So thanks so much for clicking to watch this video. I hope you enjoy. I will be starting out with the new Pretty Fresh Hydrating Foundation, and I have the shade 155W. It says here on the website, get natural, healthy looking skin with this skin perfecting medium buildable coverage foundation. It has 42 shades and it's $16. So I was pretty attracted to this foundation because it is a hydrating foundation and it is medium coverage, which is definitely what I've been leaning towards recently. I'm just gonna do one pump to start because I think that one pump actually gives you like a decent amount of product. And I'm just dotting it on the face. And I don't have any primer on, just my moisturizer and sunscreen. I do think I could have gone a little bit lighter, but it's not that far off. Now I'm taking my EcoTools foundation brush and just gently blending this out. Like I said, that was one pump and I feel that it gave quite a lot of product. And this isn't a first impressions. I've definitely used this a few times. So I'm just buffing it in the skin. I like to use a lighter hand when applying my foundation now. It seems to give it just a little bit better of a coverage level as well as a better blend. Now I'm taking my sponge from Shop Miss A and just going over everywhere, all over my face to get rid of any brush marks. Oop, my hair does not want to cooperate today. Now I didn't even use a full pump, but you can definitely tell it is medium coverage. And I'm just going to go back into what's left on my hand with my sponge and go over anywhere that I want a little bit of extra coverage, like here where I have more hyperpigmentation. You can definitely see that the foundation is a little bit warmer. You can see the texture of the foundation is really nice. It's not just sitting on top of the skin. It really did smooth out the appearance of the skin. And you can also see that radiance throughout the skin. And even though this isn't like a full wear test video, I will insert a picture of how my makeup looks at the end of the day. Moving on to concealer, I thought it very appropriate to also use the Pretty Fresh concealer. And I'm using the shades, I'm using two different shades. One is the shade Medium Dark 145 Warm and Dark 180 Neutral. I had a very hard time finding my concealer shade back when this concealer came out, and so eventually I just decided to mix them to create my custom shade. As you can see, this color is slightly deeper than my actual skin. And then this is the 145. And I like to just blend them together. This is one of my favorite concealers. If I'm not using the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, then I'm using this one. Definitely I think I would reach for this one more if they had a shade that was, you know, closer to what I need to use in just one step. This is actually my first time using the concealer along with the new foundation, and I think it's playing nicely, blended in perfectly. And I'm actually going to go back in with a bit more of the lighter shade to highlight. Got a lot of darkness going on today. To set my under eyes, I'm actually going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Setting Powder because I used to have the ColourPop loose powder, but I actually decluttered it because I just wasn't using it. I wasn't reaching for it as much. Now I'm going to add a little bit of dimension to the face using the ColourPop No Filter Concealer in the shade Deep Dark 56. I really don't like using this concealer under the eyes. I really think that it's a little bit too drying, but I find that using just a couple of dots to, you know, really carve out the cheeks and give a little bit of dimension to the forehead, which I really didn't need up there, but you know, why not? And I use the same brush that I used to apply my foundation. I find that with how pigmented it is and how much I prefer to use it on a larger area of my skin as opposed to my under eyes, I'm very impressed at how this performs. If you've never tried, like if you're one of those people that hates it as an under eye concealer, please like pick it up and try it as cream contour, as a liquid contour or a liquid bronzer, and you might be very surprised. And the nice thing is they actually have like a decent shade range in that. Like even before they came out with all this other stuff and it was just a concealer, like they came out with a decent shade range. That's very nice. I actually forgot how warm that one is. I'm not complaining because that was more of a liquid bronzer. Alright, now I do want to set that bronzer down, but I don't want to use anything too heavy, so I'm going to go in with the ColourPop pressed powder, and this is in the shade Medium Dark. This is a very, very sheer powder, and I know that a lot of people actually didn't like that, but I love it because I do have dry skin. So I never want to be adding too much powder to the face, or to be adding powder to the face in a way that will make my makeup look cakey, but it set it down without taking away too much of the radiance. You can still see like how dewy and beautiful my skin is looking right now. So next up, we're actually going to be using a couple of cream products and setting those with some Super Shock cheek products. So the cream products are actually these Stix. The, what is this, Light Stix? Yes, and the Blush Stix. I use the Blush Stick a lot more than I use the Light Stick, but I do love them both. The shade of blush stick I'm going to be using is Invite Only. I find that this blush works really well if you put it on the skin and then blend it out, or if you blend it out on the back of your hand and then use a brush to pick it up and place it on the cheek for a more subtle look. I haven't actually used this blush on top of this foundation before, so we are going to try it together. So I'm actually going to go straight in with it on this side and use my finger to blend it out. What do we think? I think that looks good. Yeah, a little bit more. I like this color because it gives that really flushed pink look on my skin tone. I'm just going on the other side with it. Alright, I'm going to take some of that on my nose as well, just to give some of that sun-kissed effect. Now the shade of Light Stix that I have, which is a cream highlighter, I don't know if I actually said that, is Bullzeye. And I'm going to actually take this one directly onto my finger and place it on the skin. This can definitely be bumped up to a more intense shine, but I wanted a more subtle look for the summer. I'm also going to take that one on the nose here. To set both of these cream products down, I'm going to be using Super Shock cheek products. The first one is a drop of a hat, and this is what I'm going to use to set the blush. This is a beautiful color, and I know that the packaging is a little bit different now because I bought this with I bought this when it came out with a particular collection. So I'm just taking an angled brush and dipping it in. And I'm pressing it into the skin. Don't want to swipe with these because, I mean, they are that like in between powder and cream texture, so you don't want to disturb any of the makeup that you have on underneath. The highlighter I'm going to use is actually Wisp. I'm going to take this on a highlighter brush. I can't remember if I like using this with a brush or my hands more. Oh, it seems to be doing the job. The brush. And these shades are so similar to these shades that it's no problem to use these to set these. Alright, so far the base is looking so wet and dewy. It's beautiful, but it's not too much. Alright, I think we are ready to move on to the eyes. For eyeshadow, I'm going to be using the Mar palette, and I actually picked this up last summer. It's got these beautiful, perfect summer shades. I'm pretty sure this is one of the few palettes I have with any kinds of blues in it. I don't have a plan for today's look. I'm just going to kind of go with my heart here. I think a good place to start is going to be right here. I'm going to take this shade in my crease. It is very similar to my skin tone. It's going to serve as my transition shade. So while I'm blending this out, let us talk. So I really like ColourPop. I don't know if that's obvious, you know, from me even choosing to do a full face of them here on my channel. I think it's really cool that they have such affordable prices, but have also been relatively inclusive compared to a lot of other brands out here. I remember when they first came out with the concealer, I was really excited because they just had a lot to choose from. Now, the No Filter concealer is definitely not one that I like to use under the eyes, like I said before, but I still like to use it as an eye primer, as a contour slash bronzer like you guys saw. I definitely have cooled it on buying eyeshadow in general, but I do have a few ColourPop eyeshadow palettes, and this is one of my favorite ones. In fact, this was the eyeshadow palette I was wearing on the night that I got engaged. Now, I haven't tried any ColourPop skincare, and I really want to. I'm particularly interested in the face milks, as well as the, what is it? I think it's like a hydrating spray of some sort. Now, have you tried anything from ColourPop skincare line? Let me know down below in the comments. And I did take some of this shadow on the lower lash line, not too much, but just enough to kind of frame the eye there. Now I'm going to take this really, really small Morphe 213 brush and go into this deep color in the outer V. And I have hooded eyes, so I'm basically just trying to draw attention outwards here with this deeper shade. Alright, now I'm going to take a blending brush and blend that out. I think I used too precise of a brush to start, so I'm going to actually take this Morphe M507. Oh yeah, that's doing a much better job. Now I'm going to go back in with that blending brush and kind of get the edges right here. Soften everything up. Now I'm just going to go in and pick up a little bit more of that deeper shade. Just kind of fill in anywhere it got a little bit patchy. Alright, now I'm going to go in with this bronze shade. I'm going to start by using a brush, but I will use a finger if I feel like I'm not getting the intensity I want. Oh, that's so pretty. You know, that looks so good, but I wonder if putting some setting spray on it would kick it up a notch. So I'm going to try that. I'm spraying a bit of my Fix Plus. Okay. Definitely foiled it. Beautiful. Didn't make it like more crazy intense, but it definitely foiled the shadow. Now I'm going to go yet again back into that deep shade just to deepen up the outer V one last time, just to really create that contrast and also feather out the edges. I'm going to use what's left on the brush, take it down the lower lash line, but not all the way, about 3/4 of the way. I really like how this eyeshadow look came out without eyeliner, so I'm just going to throw on some mascara. I do not have one by ColourPop, so I'm just using the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. For brows, I'm using the ColourPop Brow Boss Gel, and this is in the shade Dark Brown. I also really enjoy the shade Clear. This has fibers in it, so it helps thicken up your brow without doing too much. You definitely have to wipe off the excess onto the container, but it works really well. It's not huge on hold, but definitely good when it comes to filling in the brows. My only complaint about this one is I wish there was a darker shade than this that isn't quite black, because I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's just a little bit light for my skin, especially compared to my hair. Moving on to lips, I'm actually kind of depressed because I cannot for the life of me find my ColourPop BFF3 liner, which is one of my favorite liners. So I'm just going to actually go with that liner for today. But I am going to use the ColourPop Lippy Stix in the shade 1000%. Now this is kind of a deep shade, and I just want more of a stain to the lips, so I'm going to take it on my finger because it is very pigmented and just kind of blot it on. and I barely picked up any. You can see it has that really like pretty blotted effect. These are matte, but they're very comfortable. I think that actually looks beautiful with the eye look that we created. So that's it for the products. So I'm going to go ahead and take these clips out of my hair, and then I'll come back and give you my final thoughts on the new Pretty Fresh foundation. So first off, I really like how this look came out, and I want you guys to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This is the first time I've actually used like all of my ColourPop products all together, and I'm very pleased with the results. Now for my thoughts on the Pretty Fresh foundation. My final thoughts are that it's okay. It's definitely not a bad foundation. It does live up to its claims. It's not the best long-wearing foundation. It definitely is buildable though. I have been able to build it up to full coverage, but I do prefer the way it looks just like this with the medium coverage. I think they did a great job with the shade range, but I did have a hard time actually finding my shade. Like I said, I could have gone a few shades lighter and maybe that would make me like the foundation a little bit more. Part of my hesitance to call it my new favorite is its similarity to the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer. There's actually a great video here on YouTube by Shanine, otherwise known as Too Much Mouth, here on YouTube, where she actually compares the two products. And particularly on my dry skin, I find that they're actually very similar. I would say that the biggest difference is actually the tinted moisturizer is slightly more moisturizing. Now, a big difference that does has me liking the foundation over the tinted moisturizer is a simple fact that there's actually a shade closer to my skin tone in the foundation than in the tinted moisturizer. The tinted moisturizer that I have is just too deep for my skin, which makes it hard to use because it is supposed to be such an easy to use product. But when I find that I have to like mix it with something else, I find that I would rather just use my Thrive Cosmetics CC cream. So thank you so much for joining me for this full face of ColourPop and the review of the new Pretty Fresh Hydrating Foundation. I hope you'll come back and hang out with me again. Bye. Yo.